The affordable housing crisis keeps getting worse. Bloomberg recently reported that New York City rents are so high that fewer than 5% of rental units are affordable for the average salary. I remember living in New York City, and that was years ago, and I thought how expensive it was. Now it's even worse. On average, New Yorkers earned just under $89,000 in 2023. And if you're spending less than 30% of your income on housing, that puts you in a monthly rent payment of just over $2,200. And then, of course, when you factor in upfront costs that go into renting, the first month's rent, security deposit, last month's rent, and so on, the average worker could afford just 4.4% of rentals that are currently on the market without going over the affordability threshold, which makes you think most people probably are having to pay well over 30% right now of their income towards housing costs. Of course, we know that the cost of living in cities has always been higher, of course, New York City especially has never been an inexpensive place to rent. But just like much of the country, as prices of housing and living in general have absolutely exploded in recent years, while salaries have not. The median rents across New York City increased 8.6% last year. The average wages only increased 1.2%. Is it any wonder that people are struggling just to get by? Is it surprising to anyone that Americans are living on credit cards just to cover daily necessities right now? Now, like all markets across the nation, the housing shortage has worsened. New York City now has a deficit of over 380,000. That outpaces San Francisco, Chicago, and Boston combined. Sadly, the report shows that New York City's housing affordability crisis hurt essential workers the most. New Yorkers who work in healthcare, who work in the transit systems, work on the subway, work in the food industry, they earn less than $70,000, qualifying them for less than 1% of the apartments on the market. They're being pushed out completely. And as we recently reported on this show, these major flaws in the economy are not only affecting the way Americans are spending money, but also impacting major life decisions like whether or not they choose to have children. And if you haven't seen my video on the declining birth rate and its impact on the economy, click the card right up here. You can watch that video next. Just bookmark it. But also another big piece of this is illegal immigration. New York City has welcomed tens of thousands of illegal immigrants to the city, which makes sense, right? When the workers that are in the city, the blue-collar workers that are now being priced out and being forced out, you need to replace them, right? Well, how about this? Why don't we clean out these hotels and we're going to put in illegal immigrants and we'll pay them housing? And that's exactly what's happening. This is America right now. Americans are being priced out of their homes. They can't afford to live in the city, so they're being forced out. Then tens of thousands of illegal immigrants are coming into the city, and the city government is handing them checks. Free money, free housing, and 3 meals a day. It's unbelievable, but it's happening. I know it sounds fake. It's absolutely happening. Now, according to the Coalition for the Homeless, the affordable housing crisis has resulted in the highest rates of homelessness in New York City since the Great Depression. So we're really taking care of Americans. No, we're not. But we are taking care of those illegal immigrants. The city is overburdened. They lack the resources to help those who are in need, real Americans and veterans, by the way. Meanwhile, New York City has ruled that immigrants have the right to shelter. Yet thousands of New Yorkers sleep in the streets and the subway system every single night. But illegal immigrants have a right to shelter. I mean, sometimes I feel like when I wake up, like I'm in a bizarro world. I'm absolutely in a bizarro world. Meanwhile, the New York City Housing and Vacancy Study reported that the city's vacancy rate dropped to 1.4%. It's the lowest reported number since 1968. And their report found that without significant public investments in new construction and housing preservation, the city's wealth gap and racial disparities will grow, while middle and low-income New Yorkers will increasingly struggle financially. This affordable housing crisis is destroying American cities everywhere you look, and it's not looking to improve anytime in the near future. In fact, it's projected that by the year 2032, New York City will be short nearly 500,000 units. Now, I know, look, we're talking about New York City, but this is a microcosm of what's happening across the United States right now. You could talk about Denver. You could talk about Chicago. We could talk about Boston, San Francisco, Houston. Doesn't matter. It's all the same. All of this shows that city governments, state governments, and the United States government are not doing squat to protect people from these crumbling systems right now. In fact, during an election year, you're more likely to hear a lot of empty promises from politicians. But if you want to create a better future for yourself and your family, you'll have to take the initiative. You'll have to stop waiting for the government to save you. Unless you're an illegal immigrant, then they'll be happy to do that. We'll get back to the video in a second, but look, your money is not safe. You can see all the time that stocks can crash, bonds lose value. Anything that you can't physically put your hands on increases your risk right now. Hey everyone, I'm Clayton Morris, longtime real estate investor and founder of Morris Invest. And my favorite tangible asset is real estate. It consistently outperforms other asset classes. And I believe it's the #1 way to build and protect your wealth. Now, while there are several ways you can invest in real estate, most of which I've tried myself, the build to rent model offers the most benefits. More specifically, single family buy and hold rentals. Here's why. Much lower risk than trying to flip a house. You have more control and higher returns than REITs. If you're investing in the stock market, it's way less work than wholesaling properties if you're into wholesaling. Many fewer repairs and headaches than trying to rehab a property. My company, Morris Invest, along with the help from our partner at Sedera Wealth, helps you invest in build-to-rent properties as easily as investing in stocks. That's because we buy and build in bulk, and then we pass on our savings to you. And when you purchase a property through us, you get discounted pricing on properties at or below market value. Seller incentives like mortgage buy-down rates and credits right now usually lowers your rate by about 1%. And we know with higher interest rates right now, you definitely want that, right? And you get free ongoing customer service for the life of your investment. Get personal phone numbers and email addresses of our team. And build-to-rent properties are in prime growth markets. We're talking 18% internal rate of return. 18%. Amazing tax benefits. And you get a free cost segregation report, helping find strategies that increase tax write-offs. You get principal reduction as your tenant pays down your mortgage. And you get steadily growing appreciation and equity gains. Plus, positive cash flow. We won't sell you a property if the math doesn't add up. If you want to know more, just click the link in the description box and it'll take you to our website where you can book a free call with our team. There's zero pressure, no obligation. Look, I understand we won't be a good fit for everybody, and that's totally okay. Some of you might want to be DIY, you want to do it yourself. That's great. Either way, you're going to walk away from our phone call with some valuable new insights and an idea of what questions you might want to ask and some actionable steps that you can take to move forward in your financial journey. You can always find an excuse to not invest, but the sooner that you start a smart investment like build-to-rent real estate in a strong market, the sooner you'll be enjoying pure cash flow. So click the link below and I hope to see you on our schedule. Luckily, I have tons of free resources for you on this channel and how you can create multiple streams of income, get out of predatory debt, start buying performing assets, and so much more. We know there are multiple issues that make up the affordable housing crisis, including a widespread lack of supply, higher interest rates, so much more. I have another video that covers all of the factors brewing behind the scenes right now of this housing crisis, and I hope you watch it next, right here on the channel. And we'll see you next time, everyone.